Welcome. Today we're out here in Payne's Prairie, home to many different wildlife of Florida such as bison, alligators, horses, and many different types of species of bird. We're out here to discuss the mystery that's occurred where Payne's Prairie, which is originally known as a prairie, known as a grassland, has then transformed into what is now known as Payne's Lake.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can come dive with me. We'll take a look at this whole mystery. We're gonna solve this case. Let's go!
This prairie didn't always used to be a prairie, however. Back in 1871, there was a series of flooding that happened over a course of months, which turned this into the Alachua Lake.
This lake lasted about 15 years, and there's actually a steamboat that traveled from shore to shore, and after the 15 years, nature pulled the plug, and that steamboat does no longer run.
Yeah, sat right on the bottom in the grassland. And the reason for this phenomenon was just because the Alachua sink was clogged with different sticks and logs, and eventually over time nature just cleared it out. So our big question that we have here and we're investigating is that the same reason?
How is it a lake again?
Get his feet!
Go.
Don't show my face. So this is the Alachua sink where it used to be like 1871. All the Alachua Lake water used to go through that sink and ended up in an aquifer. That what used to happen in 1871, but now it's just blocked for some reason. So now we're gonna find out what happened.
But what if it's not because it's Alachua sink?
We'll see.
So, back in August of 2017, we had a hurricane called Hurricane Irma. It was crazy. And it flooded Payne's Prairie. And this happened because the Alachua sink got clogged due to debris, soil, logs, all types of stuff. Now, Payne's Prairie used to flood the road 441. Now it no longer does because it receded just a few feet. But Payne's Prairie is still yet flooded, and it's a problem. Now, I will get to you with George. Will talk about the prairie and such.
Let's go. And as you can see, the flooding's gone so bad that you can actually see it going above the guardrails. And you can see this in many spots around Payne's Prairie, which is definitely an issue.
Hey guys, so as you can see here, we have the Alachua sink, and here is where water comes from. It could be stormwater runoff, precipitation, different kinds of water transportation. A lot of it ends up here, and in the Alachua sink, it later on gets transferred into the Florida aquifer, which a lot of residents of Gainesville, we use this water for different resources to drink and any other necessities. So, the problem here is when it gets flooded, it does not get transferred into the Florida aquifer as smoothly. It's more polluted, and it's just bad for everyone.
Like a year and a half ago, I remember walking this trail and exploring, seeing the wild horses, the bison, the alligators. But now I can't. The trail's closed. Everything's changed. The birds are sad. They're leaving. It's a different place out here, man. I miss it.
I miss it too.
Why'd I have to flood?
So watershed is an important aspect into Payne's Prairie. What is watershed? Watershed is the land over which water flows as it makes its way to the Payne's Prairie, and that makes up the total watershed in this area. Unhealthy watersheds where floodplains have been filled, wetlands drained, and the surfaces paved over turn water from a resource to a hazard, and it's definitely an issue. The water that people and wildlife desperately need becomes polluted stormwater and floodwater.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I just found a snake while you're doing that.
Do you remember I told you, Caleb?
Dude, there's a snake right here. Where?
Okay, skin snake. Why you have
So, from visiting Payne's Prairie, we had a concern rise up. What is that?
I don't know what that is. Looks gross though, in my opinion.
I don't know what is it though.
Disgusting. I would not eat that.
You know to eat or do you go drink it?
The Sweetwater branch says that in the 1930s they had a man-made ditch, but actually what it was is these underground canals. From the way I understand it, is that there was these underground canals that engineers created so that the storm water would flow straight through, and then it would go directly down into the aquifer. But now, I mean, that was the 1930s. We've learned a lot more about what's in stormwater, and so we realized that that was actually contaminating our aquifers in a pretty bad way. So in 2009, they decided to do something about it, and they were wanting to get rid of all of these kinds of underground canals that were shooting the water through and make it return back to that natural sheet flow. So now, because of Sweetwater Branch, all of that rainwater now goes, and stormwater and everything, now goes in like a sheet flow, which gives it enough residence time for the soil to remove a lot of the contaminants in the water, so they're not going directly down into the aquifer. So that was a good thing, because now we're not contaminating the aquifers. However, my theory is that when they did away with those underground canals and they made everything go back to sheet flow, that there's some sort of construction debris or something underground that's clogging that main drain again, because all of that was done in 2009, and then in 2017 Hurricane Irma came, and now we're seeing flooding again like we did in the early 1800s.
So, as you can see from all of our research, Paynes Prairie is flooded and the water sitting stagnant. This is a new problem, and we've actually never really encountered this in a time such as now, where pollution levels are so high. As we talked about earlier, runoff that happens from roads and different types of things that end up in the water aren't being filtered through the grass and the wetlands how they originally were, heading into the Alachua sink. So now the problem is that if the Alachua sink does end up becoming unclogged, that will cause all of this polluted water or dangerous chemicals, which we don't have the resources to know about. But currently, our analysis shows that we think that there should be some professionals that look into this situation, because if this water does drain back into the aquifer all at one time, the aquifer could become polluted, and then we could ruin our great resource that Florida has and a possible drinking resource that we use. So we need to take a further look into this, and it's a big deal.
So as you can see through our research and everything we conducted on Paynes Prairie, this is a very good and important water resource we have for the residents of Gainesville and the surrounding areas.
And we need to make sure that we clean our environment, and what type of water we discharge in the lake, and how we're discharging those water.